Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Today is the 9th of March of 2021, and the news is brought to you by Negative Supply, a company committed to revolutionizing the way you scan film. Spend more time making photographs and less time scanning by using Negative Supply tools. Their Film Carrier Mark 1, Film Carrier 120, and other tools are now shipping next day from their California headquarters. And quick note on the instant processor news last week, it seems that their processor, I think, will be cooling down and warming up the film that you put in. Remember, this is like a little like a black box where you slide your instant film, and it will help develop at a very good temperature of usually around 20 degrees Celsius, 68 Fahrenheit. So just so you know. Also, it works with Instax and Polaroid originals, Polaroid film, Impossible Project film, you know what I mean. So yeah, let's get to the news. Camera Rescue has opened a school, a training program for camera mechanics. So as you might know, camera mechanics are either retiring or sadly passing away. And Camera Rescue has been doing a lot of efforts of trying to find as many parts and know-how in the industry. They have launched this basically training school for mechanics to learn how to fix cameras basically and repair and bring back to life in Finland. So they're coming out with 8 positions for 4 months training program. And after that, you'll be offered a position if, of course, you suit the team and the team suits you to train properly for that time, also get paid meanwhile, and then finally get a job position. Camera repairing is in very high demand around the world right now. Plus, this is probably the only place, well, actually only place in the world that's training you to do this. So right now, it's only offered for people that are resident in Finland because of what's happening around the world. But soon enough, it should be open to the rest of the world, hopefully. Let's cross our fingers. Also, from Camera Rescue, we have the Future of Analog survey, and there's results. They did a second round of survey about film and what we like and who we know and how we shoot film and all this. And there's the part 1 and part 2 are uploaded. I'm not going to give any hints here, so I'll leave the link below. You can go check it out and see what it came. It compares the previous survey, which I think was 2016, if I'm not wrong, and the differences between the community now and then. One quick note that I found very interesting is, for example, they were saying the community, how big it is. And on Reddit, analog users, there's 1.2 million people. And of course, not everybody's on Reddit. So I think we're a pretty big crowd. You guys should be watching the news here. Not, we should have 1 million views on the news, basically. Then, Reveni Labs Spotmeter has one more day on their Kickstarter. And I failed to mention last week, it just slipped my mind, that they came out with a couple updates. First one, there's a new USB cable input, so you can update the software on your light meter, which is pretty cool if Matt continues to develop things, which I think Matt will do and probably does already. And then they've also added the 1/3 increments. So for spot metering, if you're shooting slide and you're very precise, you need that 1/3. And they've changed the battery door. Now it's a new battery door. It used to be a battery tray, which is the one I have. Now it has like a little battery door with a little hinge that you can basically pop open, like kind of like the RC remote kind of car thing, or like your TV remote sort of thing. And also he's made a couple of videos, and he's done like stress tests of his light meter. One of them was basically dropping the light meter on the floor from multiple heights on hard floor, concrete floor in his house or somewhere outside, and then kicking it around and all this. Basically took a beating, and it actually lasted way longer than I felt because this thing is really lightweight and feels, that it feels plasticky, but actually does really well. I don't think another spot meter would hold so well after dropping it so many times, especially because most light meters, spot meters at least, are very heavy. So the heavier it goes, heavier it hits. And also he's added the zone system metering. So now there's like 4 or 5 different ways to meter. There's the one with Nick Carver. There's the normal spot meter and average. And I think the zones, there's a bunch of them. You can go check out the Kickstarter. Like I'm saying, one more day. He's at like 180,000 euros out of what he was asking for. So he's done very well. And Matt's already hiring to like probably make these as fast as possible, and so on. He's also upgraded the CPU. That's why he can do 1/3 of stops now and whatnot. So good news. Going to something pretty much the same Kickstarter style, Leica has finally confirmed their Summicron 35mm apochromatic lens, Apo. It's a 35mm f2 lens, that's all normal. It focuses at 30 centimeters, so all Leica glass usually focuses at 0.7, which is the rangefinder limit for at least the analog, the rangefinder analog cameras, except for the M1, which is 1 meter. I might be wrong here. Someone will quote me down in the comments. And the price is $8,000, so very much in line with the 50mm Apo, which is already in the market. That's also around $8,000. So if you want to order them already, I wish I could leave a link below and it was affiliated, but I don't think I have affiliated link for that kind of stuff. Then we have news from Adox. Adox has announced the last run of the Silvermax film, a high silver content 35mm film. And this was already mentioned a long time ago in an interview. I want to say a long time, it's like a year and a bit ago. I did an interview of Mirko, the CEO of Adox, and he mentioned that Silvermax was basically the raw materials were done and that making it again would be super expensive. So that would be it. So the last batch is actually made with special anniversary kind of like looking things. So the canisters are different and so on. So kind of like a collectible, which is pretty cool. And also from Adox, we have a bit of an Xtol update. So we all know that Kodak changed the Xtol packaging and there's been so many problems with Xtol. Well, Adox has made their own version of Xtol and it's called the Adox XT developer. And they don't say it's Xtol, but I can say it in the news. It probably is very close to Xtol, if not the same. And in their own words, this is from their website, it says the developing times and resulting curves are identical with Xtol produced prior to 2019 and sold in aluminum compound bags, which was the original Xtol, not the new version, which supposedly is giving a lot of problems. And in that subject, the problems with Xtol, I talked to my contact at Kodak Alaris, which is not in charge of chemicals, but they did let me know that basically the best advice you can do with faulty Xtol is to return it to the place you purchased it for a refund, and the retailer can then claim from the distributor to the company. He says it's long-winded, but the easiest way for the end user. So if you have faulty Xtol and you really want it to be reimbursed, I gave an email from Kodak, but supposedly they haven't really been answering anybody. And like I'm saying, it's not Kodak Alaris doing this, it's Kodak. I don't know what company is right now selling chemicals for Kodak because they're broken into little different pieces. But yeah, maybe the best you can do is return it or assume that you've lost it. One thing I forgot to mention is the Adox XT developer, which is the Xtol Adox version, is 6 euros for 1 liter. And 17 euros for the 5 liter in dust. And it's also in this new dust thing that Adox does, which doesn't like make a cloud of dust that you can sniff and basically get sick from, which is pretty cool. Also from Adox, looks like there's a new AdoFlo wetting agent. So just in case you need wetting agent and you like Adox, you can go ahead and get that too. Then there's news from the Ektachrome, Kodak Ektachrome 8x10, and this is for European guys like myself. The 8x10 is making it to Europe, and it's not only in Mako Direct as coming soon, but on Photo Impex as also a special item. Prices differ around 10 euros, so choose your store of that you prefer, but a Photo Impex is 10 euros cheaper. Then we have a new Kickstarter for a camera that's a Minuta Stereo. This is pinhole stereo camera made out of MDF, and you can actually kind of like, I think you can buy it made on the Kickstarter, and I say buy, you can back it made, or you can back it as do it yourself. And it also comes with binoculars. If you've never heard of stereo photography, basically it's usually 2 lenses, in this case it's pinhole, so no lenses, 2 pinholes that are exactly at a distance. So it takes 2 pictures on film, and that film then when you digitally put it on top, it does like a little GIF that you can like see 2 images. And at the same time, you can use those. They make binoculars. The Minuta Stereo Kickstarter has binoculars that are also MDF, and you can put them on. And when you look with both eyes open, suddenly you see a 3D image because it's like slightly taken from different angles. So that's super cool. They're at 17,000 euros out of the 23,000 euros they're looking for. So I think it's pretty cool. I do think stereo photography is pretty interesting, honestly, and has a very strong historic value. Nowadays it's pretty dead, but still is a pretty cool service or way to show images. I think it is pretty nice. Then we have Instacamerhack. I want to say Instacamerhack, but there's not an A on camera. They've done film masks, 3D printed film masks, which are kind of like semi-modular, and you can actually use them to scan either with your DSLR mirrorless camera, like digitizing with camera, or you can use it on a scanner. And they have like all kinds of formats, so you can go check it out. It's 3D printed, like I said, so not like a highly, finished product. It's more like a fun little thing. They look like the Digitalize from lomography, but without the clamp. Then bad news. For those who know, Kodak made a special film called Aerochrome, and this film was made for the military in the US, and they would like shoot and make vegetation like purple reddish. And if it was dead, it would not be purple reddish, it would be darker, so you could see like bunkers and things that were covered with leaves and whatnot. And this film's super cool, and for normal photography even, it's really cool. Richard Moss made a book called Congo, or a work called Congo, which is impressive. I have the book actually, which I bought for very little. Now it's worth a lot, just so you know. And it seems that this man, Dean Bennessy, was cutting it down to 120 and selling it. I bought some from him years and years ago, which I never used. I actually sold it. And he just said it's done. It's over. There's no more. So Kodak Aerochrome is no longer being cut by Dean Bennessy, and you can only find whatever is out there in the secondhand market. And I mean secondhand, not used, but you know what I mean. Resold. Then we have a strange Kickstarter, not something you see every day, by the tripod company Gitzo. And I call it Gitzo, but they keep on saying it's called Gitzo, so I don't know which one's right. And it's called the Legend tripod. And they have a very interesting video, which I like the way the guy talks. He says it's 1.45 kgs, as in kilograms. So a lightweight tripod, kind of like a travel-friendly tripod. But it has a couple interesting things with it. It has a lifetime warranty, and you can self-repair it. So they'll send you parts and you'll repair it. And they actually already have a video how to break it down into all the components and change them. Or you can send it in and they'll like repair it or whatever. And this is only if, of course, it's from wear and tear, not if you just throw it out the window while you're driving a car. That probably wouldn't replace it. But yeah, it's a Indiegogo campaign, which is the first for them, at least that I know of. And the tripod's not cheap, around 400, 500 euros. But it reminds me a bit of the Peak tripod that came out a couple years ago. Also, high-end travel tripod. And Gitzo has a long history of doing amazing tripods. Even though now Gitzo is being bought by Manfrotto a couple years ago, made in Italy now. But yeah, I have a couple of them. Very good tripods, very nice. And yeah, that's the news for this week. As always, thank you, Negative Supply, for sponsoring the news. And you guys can always send an email with any information to the email below. Thanks for watching. See you next week.